Hi everybody, in this video we are going to discuss about the chapter Human Health and Disease, and the topic that we are going to discuss under this chapter is Communicable Diseases. Communicable Diseases, and we know what do you mean by the communicable disease. Diseases which will spread from one person to another person. Infectious disease we are calling them as. So there are various diseases which are carried by different types of organisms and spread to other organisms and cause harm to those organisms. So there are bacteria, there are viruses, there are fungi, there are many other organisms, like even the dangerous ones called as the viruses, which will cause harmful diseases to the humans. So we are going to discuss one after the other about different types of disease causing microbes and their effects and the treatment that is given for those diseases. So first we are going to discuss about the bacterial diseases, means diseases which are caused by the bacteria. Diseases which are caused by the bacteria. So here first we are, as we said, that we are going to discuss about the bacterial diseases. Okay, bacterial diseases. So here if you are seeing, the first bacterial disease is the name typhoid. Okay, typhoid is the first disease which we are going to discuss. Typhoid. It is also called as enteric fever. Enteric fever. And please remember the word enteric. Okay, enterozoic we say. Enteric is the word which will be used when it is affecting the digestive system, especially the intestine. Whenever a microorganism is affecting the digestive system, especially the intestine, then we call it as enteric. We are calling it as enteric. So that is a clue to understand, okay, that is related with the digestive system, especially the intestine. So typhoid is also known as what? The enteric fever. Enteric fever. Typhoid is a bacterial disease, and here the name of the disease, now what we are talking it is about the typhoid, which is called as enteric fever. The pathogen which causes this disease called as typhoid is what? Salmonella typhi. Okay, Salmonella typhi is the name of the bacteria which causes the disease called as typhoid. Which causes the disease called as typhoid. So here we know the word pathogen. Pathogen means what? Disease causing microbe. So what is the disease causing microbe for the typhoid? It is Salmonella typhi. And mode of transmission, how it is transmitted? It is transmitted through the contaminated food and water. It is transmitted through the contaminated food and water and affects which part of the body? As we said here, it is the intestine. Okay, it is the intestine which will be affected by the pathogen called as Salmonella typhi. This Salmonella typhi will be affecting which part of the digestive system? It is the intestine. It is the intestine. How? Now mode of transmission we are saying. See here, as I said that it is the Salmonella typhi which is carried by the contaminated food and water. Okay, which is carried by the contaminated food and water and affects the intestine. How it is carried? It is especially this particular Salmonella typhi is present in the fecal matter. It is present in the fecal matter which is defecated in public places, and this will be having the presence of what we said? Salmonella typhi, the bacterium. And when the houseflies visits this defecated stool or fecal matter, they will be carrying this particular bacterium on its body, and when these flies will be visiting the food that is cooked, prepared to eat, and when these flies visit, they may be dropping this bacteria on the food or in the water. So through the oral route, now this bacteria will be entering into the body. So now the mode of transmission is directly given as fecal oral route. It is being transmitted through the fecal matter which is contaminating the food and water, and when this food and water is taken through the mouth, oral route, then it may affect what? The intestine. It will be affecting the intestine. And now incubation period. What do you mean by incubation period? It is the period of time that disease causing microbe will take to express the disease. It will take a period of time to express the disease. So that period we are calling it as what? Incubation period. After completing its incubation period, then it will cause the disease. So incubation period, after entering into the body, after 1 to 3 weeks, it will affect the body, causing what? Typhoid, the disease. Okay, so that is called as the incubation period. And now, signs and symptoms. How can we say that a person is suffering with this particular disease? This is very important, where we should not get confused with when we are talking about these signs and symptoms, because we may get, see here, if you are seeing high fever, whenever a person is suffering with fever, doesn't mean that he is suffering with what? Typhoid. So there will be different types of signs and symptoms that will be shown for each disease. And those symptoms are specific for that particular disease. So based on these signs and symptoms, we can say that a person is suffering with that particular disease. Now for typhoid, what are the signs and symptoms? There will be high fever, about 39 to 40 degrees Celsius. 39 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius, the person will be suffering with high fever. And his pulse rate will be low. Please remember, his pulse rate will be low, but he will be having high fever. And there will be stomach pain, otherwise we are calling it as abdominal pain. He will be suffering with severe stomach pain. Constipation, he cannot go for proper defecation. Okay, constipation. And he or she, that particular individual, will also suffer with what? Headache. So headache is common, but should not be misunderstood that it can be what? Typhoid. These are all these signs and symptoms that will be shown together. Then we can conclude that it is what? It can be typhoid. So there will be loss of appetite. Means what? They will not feel hungry. They will not feel hungry. They don't love to eat more food, and they will be very weak. They will be very weak. So when a person is showing these signs and symptoms, immediately they will be going for a confirmatory test. They will be going for a confirmatory test. So how this can be confirmed that it is the typhoid that is caused to that particular individual? It will be confirmed by a test called as Libido Test. Please remember, this is very important. Okay. So what is the test that is done for typhoid? It is the Libido Test. So name the test that is used to confirm typhoid, means it is Libido Test. Okay, Libido Test. This is the test that will be performed to confirm that particular person is suffering with typhoid. And thereby, once it is confirmed, they also do the treatment. So what is the treatment? They give the antibiotics. So these two are what now? The antibiotics. Okay, antibiotics. Okay, antibiotics. So here they will be given antibiotics for a person who is suffering with typhoid. Antibiotics like terramycin and chloromycetin. Terramycin and chloromycetin are two types of antibiotics that are given for a person who is suffering with typhoid. And please remember, even vaccination is available. Okay, vaccination is also available for typhoid. Vaccination is also available for typhoid. And very important point that we have to remember here is that when a person is suffering with severe typhoid, okay, in severe cases of typhoid, when a person is suffering with severe typhoid, okay, it can lead to intestinal perforation. Okay, intestinal perforation, and due to which it may lead to death of that individual. This is important, very important. In severe cases of typhoid, it will lead to intestinal perforation. Means what? The intestinal walls will be eroded. Means destroyed. Okay, made injured. Because of this presence of this bacteria called as what? Salmonella typhi. It will severely damage the inner walls of the intestine and can lead to what? The death of the individual. And here, this point we have to keep in mind. Okay, intestinal perforation can lead to death. This intestinal perforation will be seen in what? In severe cases of typhoid. We'll be seeing this. And as I said here, the fecal matter. Fecal matter of whom? The person who is suffering with what? The typhoid. Okay, a person is suffering with the typhoid, and if he defecates in public places, Okay, in such cases, his fecal matter or that particular individual's fecal matter will be containing this pathogen, the disease-causing microbe called as Salmonella typhi. So, like that, it will be carried to others who will be suffering with this particular disease called as the typhoid. Okay, called as the typhoid. And one more point regarding the typhoid. Okay, one more point regarding the disease called as the typhoid. Okay, is that we studied the bacteria that causes this disease is what? Salmonella typhi. Okay, Salmonella typhi. And we said that this will be invading what? The intestine. It will be invading the intestine of an individual. And please remember, once it invades, it is there present in the intestine. This Salmonella typhi from intestine, it can also enter into some other organs of the body. It can also enter into some other organs in the body with the help of blood, through the blood. Okay, through the blood. The Salmonella typhi, which is present in the intestine, may also travel through the blood to other organs. May also travel through the blood to other organs. Like what can be those organs? It can also enter into what? Lungs. It can also enter into the liver. It can also enter into the gallbladder. It can also enter into the gallbladder. And it can also enter into the kidneys. It can also enter into the kidneys in severe conditions. So here we have to remember this point, that Salmonella typhi entering into the intestine, the main region where it will reside and cause the disease called as typhoid, may also enter into other organs through the blood. Like what are those organs? Lungs, liver, gallbladder and kidneys. These are all that we should keep in mind when we talk about the typhoid. So we discussed about the first bacterial disease, that is typhoid. So when we studied and understood completely about the typhoid, we also should remember about one lady named as Mary Mallon. Okay, Mary Mallon. She is a cook by profession. But this lady was nicknamed as Typhoid Mary. This lady is nicknamed as Typhoid Mary because whoever is eating the food that is prepared by this lady started to suffer with the disease called as the typhoid, because when she is cooking, because she is containing this disease causing microbe, she is the main cause for spreading this disease to others through the contaminated food and water that she has prepared. When she is cooking the food, then through that food she is spreading that disease to others. So that's why it is being identified and she is nicknamed as Typhoid Mary. Actually her name is Mary Mallon, but she is nicknamed as Typhoid Mary. So that also a very interesting thing that we have to keep in mind. Now the second bacterial disease is pneumonia. And this pneumonia is causing damage to what, or it affects or infects what? Lungs. It infects the lungs, especially the alveolar sacs, which are air-filled, air sacs we call them as. And these alveoli, which are air-filled sacs, helps in respiration process, are affected by the disease called as pneumonia by a pathogen called as what? Streptococcus pneumoniae. Or otherwise there is another one called as Haemophilus influenzae. This is another one. So any of these two can cause what disease? Pneumonia. So pneumonia is a disease which attacks which organ in our body? Lungs. In the lungs, which part of the lungs means? It is the alveolar sacs, air-filled sacs. So these air-filled sacs, when they are attacked by this pathogen, any of these pathogens, they will be filled with fluid, and it becomes difficulty in respiration process. So this is what we have to remember in the very beginning. So now, what is the mode of transmission? It is the sputum, the spit. So the sputum or the aerosols, so when they are sneezing, when they are coughing, when these droplets are there present in the air, when a non-infected person inhales that air containing these microbes, the bacteria, then they will be suffering with this particular disease called as pneumonia. And not only with the aerosols, the droplets that are there, the light particles that are coming out from the mouth when they are sneezing or coughing present in the air, not only of those, but also by sharing the glasses. Any utensils that we share with them, maybe touching the doorknob, maybe touching the mouse, maybe while handling a pen, or any other materials which we are sharing with others, from infected person to non-infected person, they can be carried, or this disease can be spread. So we have to remember the modes of transmission, either by the sputum, aerosols, sharing glasses and utensils. This disease can be spread from one person to another person, and the incubation period is about 1 to 3 days. So within these 3 days, now it is ready, or it will express the disease. Okay, it will express the disease. And now if you are seeing the signs and symptoms, okay, signs and symptoms of this particular disease, that the person who is suffering with pneumonia will suffer with fever, chills, means shivering. They will be having fever, and also at the same time they feel as if they are very cold and they start shivering, chills, and they will have severe cough and headache. These are the common symptoms. Okay, all these symptoms, when they are seen in a person, they will be related to which disease? Pneumonia. They will be related to disease known as pneumonia. But please remember, when pneumonia becomes very severe, in severe cases, okay, in severe cases, we should remember that the lips and nails may turn from grey color to bluish in color. The lips of that particular person who is suffering with pneumonia may turn from grey color to bluish in color. It indicates that pneumonia is very severe in that particular person. And there is a treatment for this. So what is the treatment that is given? Again, for this, they will be using the antibiotics. They will be using the antibiotics such as what? Penicillin, streptomycin and ampicillin. These are the antibiotics that are used to treat the particular patient or person who is suffering with the disease called as pneumonia. And please remember, there is no vaccination for this. No vaccination available for pneumonia. No vaccination for pneumonia. There is no vaccination that is there for this disease called as pneumonia. So these are the two diseases which we should keep in mind. First one is typhoid and the second one is pneumonia, which we studied. And there are also other diseases. Okay, there are also other diseases that comes under the bacterial diseases. There are, as I said, there are also other bacterial diseases apart from the typhoid and pneumonia, such as the dysentery, okay, and plague and diphtheria. These are also bacterial diseases that attacks the humans. Dysentery, plague and diphtheria are also other bacterial diseases that are attacking the humans and causing the diseases. Okay, these are the names of the diseases which we are going to discuss later in other videos. In other videos we are going to discuss about those diseases. So these two diseases are main diseases and important diseases which we should keep in mind regarding the bacterial diseases. Thank you so much.